Super Happy Awesome Movie Time!
Hi, and welcome to the premiere episode of Super Happy Awesome Movie Time. I'm Jim.
And I'm Drosh.
Today we'll be talking about Revenge of the Ninja, released in 1983 by the Cannon Films and the Golden Globus Group. This movie came in on the ground floor of the ninja craze of the 80s, which culminated in, and some would say jumped the shark with, the Turtles. The story recycles nearly every martial art movie. The classic Shane story of a fighter who wants to give up fighting and live in peace, but can't escape their violent nature. Sho Kosugi plays Cho, a ninja, I guess as a profession, whose family is wiped out by rival ninjas. He takes his baby son and mother to America, where he opens a doll gallery with his American partner Brayden. Turns out Brayden is no real friend, and is using the dolls to smuggle heroin into LA. Brayden is also using the local mafia to move the drugs, but they double-cross him. Big mistake, as Brayden himself is an American ninja. Brayden proceeds to pick off mafia guys in various Asian ways. And meanwhile, Cho's little son Kane, played by Sho Kosugi's real-life son Kane, accidentally discovers the heroin. Naturally, to the bad guy, this means the child must die. 2 or 3 extended fight scenes later, Kane is kidnapped by Brayden assaults the Mafia headquarters, and Cho reluctantly straps on his throwing stars to stop his former friend and get his son back. This results in a 3-way battle, as Cho and Brayden creatively slaughter their way through the Mafia goons while trying to find each other. The finale takes place on the rooftops of Los Angeles, played in this movie by Salt Lake City. Here, every stop is pulled out from the simple to the ridiculous. Evil is punished, the family reunited, and the police are happy to overlook a building full of dead gangsters. To myself as a 13-year-old boy, it simply didn't get any better.
I had some problems going into this movie initially because when you first brought it to me and you said it's a ninja movie from the 80s, that's really not my favorite sort of genre. I mean, I do like some fighting films, I do like some martial arts films, but mostly it's very narrow, the ones that I actually enjoy. I mean, just the opening of the fight in Tokyo, where you have these slow, pudgy, clearly not Asian ninjas coming in and nearly wiping out the family, who just kind of stand there and scream a lot as they're being attacked by someone who couldn't take out a children's birthday party. And then Cho and Brayden come in and mop it up, and I don't know. Right from there, it kind of like set the pace of the fights. That yes, our hero Cho's fighting is very good, but a lot of the people that he's fighting against look like extras.
That's because they were.
We need better extras.
Well, the nice thing is that during this time in the 80s, martial arts movies used real martial artists. It wasn't just an actor who looked good and was trained how to fight for 2 weeks by Yen Wu-ping. These were people who had a background of it. You had Sho Kosugi, who was a Japanese karate champion. You had Keith Vitale, who was a 3-time karate champion, I believe 6th or 7th degree black belt taekwondo. And at this time, American kung fu movies and martial art movies were taking a cue from the Asian market, where the camera was actually able to pull back and watch them do their stuff, and you could tell because the actors had the chops to really make it work. Whereas today, you've got The Matrix, you've got the Bourne movies, which, for the record, I love the Bourne movies, except all the fight scenes, however wonderfully choreographed, are all just camera cut. And it's very disorienting, and I wish that they would just pull the camera back and let us see the people do their stuff.
So you're saying this is more like Fred Astaire of ninja genre at that time period, where Fred Astaire said, show my entire body dancing,
exactly,
with very few cuts, and those fight scenes are similar in that you're seeing the actual moves, and there is talent there in the way Sho Kosugi and the other actually trained fighters were fighting, and that's what I guess we're here for?
Yes, exactly. We are here for the violence.
So, the robotic arm sticking out of the pool?
Yes. What about it?
So when the chrome-faced ninja packed up that morning, did he know he had to bring his whole full-bodied double with him?
A ninja is always prepared for every eventuality. And if that requires packing a robot arm into your little luggage of ninja gear...
Excuse me, I have to pack my robot arm that's waterproof that I can put it in the hot tub. In case there's a hot tub to pop out of.
Yes. Yes, you would.
Okay. I can see that.
Well, going back to the violence, one thing that always struck me, and again this goes back to my memories of being a 13-year-old boy and seeing this in the theater, as well as on cable TV, was that, well, let me just say, I saw this in the theater. This film was rated R, and I was allowed to go into the theater unaccompanied by any adult, because that's apparently how the 80s rolled when it came to action movies. This movie had all the violence and gore of the slasher films of the era, but it was clearly marketed to children, such as myself. All the scenes involving Kane would have had no appeals to adults whatsoever, and they were put in there to entertain the younger audience. So they were letting us into these incredibly violent and gory films, and at the same time they were desensitizing us to the violence, which I must say worked for me.
The Kane fighting, fighting with Kane, the young boy, the 7-year-old, 8-year-old Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Him fighting in the film, him kicking the ass of the neighborhood bullies in the beginning of the film was actually one of my favorite fights in the film. And then I was disappointed that they set that there, and I didn't want to see Kane fight through the whole film, but it would have been nice to revisit that at some point. And there was the fight where he fights with the woman who sometimes has no pants. But that wasn't quite the same.
Pantsless models in action movies, your guide to the 80s. Well, let's talk about the villains in this one. As throwaway as they were, I know, Kurt, you have an opinion about that.
They kill the village people. Village people, lovely cameo by the village people of Earth 2, slaughtered for... I don't really know how that fit the plot.
Yes, I will give you that. Most of the interim fight scenes that were sandwiched in between the beginning and the end, every person that Kosugi had to fight came out of some sort of stereotypical ethnic catalog. I mean, there was the black roller skater with the headphones that were at the time this huge. There was the Latino biker guy. There was a white guy dressed as a cowboy, and a vaguely indeterminate Asian who wore a Japanese Rising Sun t-shirt, all hanging out together.
That's them.
Hey man, you get to this side here. Hey look, here come the policeman. I wonder what he want with us this time.
I own that new Japanese doll gallery downtown.
He had it was sort of a walking stick, but when you pulled the handle out, there was a blade on it. This is at the playground, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's like a walking stick with a horizontal handle, and you pulled it out, there was a blade on it. This was another staple of all of the ninja movies, was the weapons disguised as other stuff. For instance, there's a moment where Kosugi actually has a belt buckle with a throwing star attached to it that he detaches and throws and impales Radio Man's wrist to a wooden pole. Shut up. But anyway, as a 13-year-old kid, we all wanted those belt buckles, and they were made illegal about 5 minutes after this movie came out, so nobody could get them. Our star, Sho Kosugi, rode the ninja wave for all it was worth with such films as 9 Deaths of the Ninja, Pray for Death. He had the villain role, the 1984 TV show The Master, and Black Eagle, where he faces off against a then unknown Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What about Ninja 3: The Domination? Jim? Jim, what about Ninja 3: The Domination?
We don't talk about Ninja 3: The Domination. Let's move on, please.
Sam Furstenberg also directed just wonderful, horrible films such as Breaking 2: Electric Boogaloo and Operation Delta Force.
Starring Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin.
But, I mean, overall, I really wanted to hate this film.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Even though the plot and some of the props in the fights were a little implausible.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just absolutely ridiculous stuff constantly happening. That's not really why you see these things.
True. And I am fully willing to admit the cheesiness of it. I'm willing to admit the plot was weak, if at all, if it was there at all. The acting was what it was. But I do cling to this film so much because it came out at that time when I was just such an impressionable young adolescent, barely coming into my teens, discovering the world of grown men hitting each other with sticks and swords, and it really made an impact on me to inform my movie taste in the years to come throughout my teenage years and into my early 20s before I discovered what good movies really were. So at the time, this was the best I had to go with.
Okay.
So, as a time capsule for the 80s, I think it's wonderful. As a showcase for some really good talent in the martial arts and in action choreography, pretty good. Definitely, it's bubblegum for the brain, and I totally understand that. So if that's what you're after in an afternoon, this is a good party movie to both enjoy and ridicule as you're enjoying it.
Yes. It's definitely worth the ridicule.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're in that kind of mood,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not getting The Godfather here. You're getting
The Godfather 3. So that's it. Go out and enjoy Revenge of the Ninja, or go out and ridicule Revenge of the Ninja. Either way, you'll have a great time. So, until next time, this is Super Happy Awesome Movie Time. I'm Jim.
And I'm Drosh.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Some people need a catchphrase. Woozle Wuzzle!
We'll see you next time, and we're not wearing any pants.
This is Pantsless Movie Time. Oh! It's not what you want it to be.
Cho discovers his surviving infant son Kane, and with his delightfully dowdy mother, they all move to America to start an art gallery and a new violence-free life. Sounds like a pitch for a mid-season replacement sitcom. Cho Nuff, coming this spring, Tuesdays on ABC.
Cho Nuff.